Oh, thank God. Oh, you've just caught me finally finishing The Witcher 3.
I've been at it since May, last May that is, gradually chiselling away at what seems to me like the longest campaign in video game history. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but if we go into the menu here and take a look at my overall playtime, over 12 days.
That's like loads of hours.
We did a Friday feature just before The Witcher 3 came out, about 7 games to which you can easily lose 200 plus hours of your life. And now I've finally finished it, and looking at the overwhelming amount of comments on that video full of suggestions for other games, I think it's time for an update.
So here are 7 massive games you'll play for 200 hours. Part 2.
And we'll start, of course, back in Temeria. Now, it may have taken me over 280 hours to complete Geralt's massive quest, but it's fair to say I did take my sweet time about it. I'm a bit obsessive when it comes to clearing out my quests log, and so tried my best to complete all side missions and Witcher contracts, although, as anyone who watches these videos often will know, I'm also a massive RPG coward, and so will be leaving whatever's in Oxenfurt Forest well alone until I'm over-leveled enough to hack it down without thinking.
Recommended level 35. I could do it now, but it's probably best to wait until I'm level 40 just in case.
The main reason I've sunk so many hours into this game, however, is simply because I just really like walking around in it. I don't need to actually play The Witcher 3 to enjoy The Witcher 3. I'm perfectly happy going to Kaer Morhen or the Skellig Isles and just trekking about in the wilderness, gazing at incredible vistas and occasionally killing over-curious wildlife. Once I just climbed up a massive mountain in Skellige and literally stood on top of it swinging my sword about for hours, pretending that Geralt was taking time out for some high-altitude training and intensive meditation like Chow Yun-Fat in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It was awesome, and the game should have leveled me up 10 times for it. Playtime 12 days, this is why.
Next up, we've got Rocket League, a game that when it came out last year, I bet made you do something like this.
Oh, what's this? Rocket League. Football with cars. That sounds like silly fun. I'll download that and give it a few goes. Should keep me occupied for a couple of hours.
And then...
Robert, are you going to bed? You've got work in the morning.
Yeah, I'm just having one last game, then I'll be up.
And then...
Well, defend then! Honestly! Who chases round after their teammates the entire time and leaves the goal wide open? I don't think anyone anticipated the phenomenon that was Rocket League. It took over mine and Dave's lives for months. We played it long and hard, shouting in elation as we claimed a last-second equaliser, slumping inconsolably as we let it slip in extra time. Once you're in with Rocket League, there's no coming out. You'll play it over and over and over, game after nail-biting game, and the fact you can now play car basketball as well. Who's up for another 200 hours? Our next entry is Dark Souls 3. Now, I'll put my hands up and say I haven't spent 200 hours playing this.
I've put in about 90 minutes, beat the first boss on my first attempt. Felt pretty good about myself and sort of just left it there.
But I'm including the game because I know full well how deep you can sink into a Souls game. Feel free to substitute this for 1, 2 or Bloodborne if you like. I'm merely making this entry Dark Souls 3 so I can put in this lovely gameplay footage of it looking all foreboding and like Gormenghast come to life. A single playthrough of Dark Souls 3 may take the average player anywhere from 40 to 70 hours to complete. But we all know the experience doesn't end there. The true Dark Souls, so I've been told, happens with New Game Plus. This resets all NPCs, bosses, shortcuts, bonfires and regular enemies, but lets you carry across all your endgame gear into a new adventure. Only catch is, everything is now even harder, plus there are new treasures to discover.
New Game Plus separates the Dark Souls casuals from the Dark Souls hardcore, and when combined with your first playthrough, can easily take up 200 hours of your life. And you know what? I'm going to do it.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Next up, we've all got our comfort games, haven't we? Those games you're always playing sort of in the background of the game you're playing. Like a cooldown game. Back in the early days of PS4, my cooldown game was Battlefield 4 multiplayer. I always had it on, dipping back in after Assassin's Creed 4 or Killzone Shadowfall or Knack.
Before I knew it, I'd dipped back in so many times I'd clocked up over 100 hours on one of the best multiplayer shooters I'd ever experienced.
The maps were huge, the audio like thunder, and the visuals just the best thing I'd ever seen. 10 hours of my playtime has probably been spent standing about gawking like this, don't judge me. Basically, I played it every night for about 4 months, reveling in the most gorgeously destructible next-gen playgrounds and daring another game to come along and challenge its dominant place inside my PS4.
Then Don't Starve came out, and entry number 5 on this list was decided.
I knew nothing about this game when it first arrived, other than it looked like sort of what Minecraft would do if it was directed by Tim Burton. It was dark and weird and not about guns or jumping, my curious console-conditioned brain figuratively poking it like a dog with a new flavour bone. Then Nath, Dave and I did our first ever Let's Play series on it.
You can still watch it on the channel if you like. This isn't a plug.
And I was never the same again. This wasn't a game. This was a way of life. The early, naive footsteps into an unforgiving world punished with death by starvation, or death by darkness, or death by horrible demon hounds. Quickly you learn to adapt, however, the daily struggle for survival replaced by calm, organised planning as you set up base ready to tackle the harsh challenges of winter in the wild.
Every time I played, I'd get better and better, survive for longer and longer.
Building better farms, growing a nice beard, making sure I didn't annoy the pigs, mustering up the courage to go wading into whatever the hell this is. I saw some players' worlds online that were just ridiculous. Automated rabbit traps, acres of farmland, working contingency plans for hound attacks, 300 days survived. Amazing.
Bottom line, if you manage to get far enough into Don't Starve that simply staying alive is no longer a challenge, it can pretty much just go on forever. Day 100, day 1000. How far have you gone? Let me know in the comments so I can fail to beat you.
Right, let's get back to the life-swallowing RPGs for entry number 6, and since the previous 200 hours video, there's been one game that's really stood out when it comes to sheer volume of stuff to see and do and collect and run away from. Fallout 4 isn't the biggest game in terms of square mileage, but it's so densely packed and practically bursting with secrets to discover. It's the ultimate game for exploration. Unlike The Witcher 3, nothing is marked on your minimap until you've discovered it, so every session becomes a slow, tentative push into the fog of the unknown. Will you discover a secret cave, or a building full of raiders, or an abandoned farm overrun by ghouls? It was perfectly paced, the whole game pulsing with a tangible sense of adventure.
Then there's all the stuff outside the main quest, like factions for example.
Do you want to join the Railroad, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Institute, the Minutemen with their brilliantly enthusiastic leader Preston Garvey? Or do you want to join all four until such a time as you inevitably screw one of them over and they never forgive you? There's also the small matter of settlement building to consider. It's your job to reclaim the Commonwealth from the clutches of corruption and decay, fight back against the oppressors and build a better world for the oppressed. Or you could tear down everyone's house in Sanctuary so there's enough metal to build Pearson Tower.
All in all, if you're going to do everything in Fallout...
Another settlement has sent word that they need our help.
If you're going to do everything in...
We've got to show people the Minutemen can really help them.
If you're going to do everything in Fallout 4, it's going to take you a good 200 hours at least! I'm doing it, Preston!
What the hell is this, you might ask? The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, I'd answer, one of the darkest, hardcorest and downright brilliantest games available on PlayStation. In simple terms, it's a top-down, procedurally generated, roguelike action RPG thing. You play as Isaac, a poor child neglected and hunted by his God-fearing mother through dungeons full of grotesque monsters. Yes, some of them are called turdlings.
Finishing this game isn't actually finishing this game, however. If you want to truly master The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, you're going to need to get your time purse out and get spending.
There's Mum, there's Satan, there's Mega Satan, the latter a secret boss that only reveals itself after a bunch of obscure criteria have been met. But it hooks you like nothing else, a morbid, fascinatingly original title that will pull you into the depths of its own madness and spit you out multiple hundreds of hours later. If you've mastered this, I salute you. So there we go, 7 more games you'll play for 200 hours at least. I'm sure there are many more, so let us know in the comments which games have claimed significant portions of your life. Click on one of the on-screen links to watch another video, leave us a like if you're feeling kind, and come back here next week for another Friday feature. Thanks for watching.